Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
This morning I am speaking with multinational talent, New Yorker and Chinese national Mulan Fu on her new short animated film entitled Beautiful. It's very heart-wrenching. She was the writer, the director, the animator. I'm surprised she wasn't the voices on it as well, because I guess her cousin was free that day. Mulan Fu, how are you
It's
today?
my mom. Hi. I'm good. So glad to be here, and thank you so much for all your kind words about my work and myself. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it.
Well, you know, somebody in your family had to have a free afternoon that you did everything else. They're like, I'm going to give it to somebody else to talk. But I'm glad it was your mom that you got to work with on this project. Being that this story is semi-autobiographical, you know, what's it like to have your mom do the voiceover for something so close to home, and then on top of it, see the final product with her voicing the characters?
So, I mean, that's a great question. I think, you know, the whole process of making this film has been really therapeutic for my entire family, to be honest, and for me in particular. And, you know, it's basically a way for me to cope with whatever happened, and trying to also understand what's been going on emotionally, mentally, physically with, you know, everything. And, you know, my mom, she's an actress, and she was a really famous actress in China in the 80s. And, you know, she kind of left the cinema, left TV to take care of me. And that's why, you know, the whole experience has been an additional, you know, shock to her, because she takes her, you know, self-perception and self-image, and especially her beauty, very seriously. And it's been a huge part of her, you know, ego and herself. So it's been really hard, particularly for her to cope with it. And being able to work with her, and also, you know, using her talent as an actress to contribute to this film, and as like a collective therapeutic experience, was really, really meaningful, and really, really personally meaningful for all of us.
So what you're saying is you're the reason she gave up her career, and this is your way of thanking her. No, I'm teasing. What people don't like, my family's from the Middle East, so what people don't understand about continental Asia, which extends from Turkey to Indonesia, when you start counting the islands on top of it, is that our parents tend, especially immigrant parents, I don't know if your mom's still in China or if she's come to the United States.
She's in Shanghai.
Oh, she's in Shanghai. Tend to have a bit of stoicism sometimes when they're feeling pain and going through these struggles. Everything's internalized.
Absolutely.
You watching her, and from what you've described of her so far, internalizing a lot of this, how difficult was it for you to get it out of her, and then to finally put it into animated, well, celluloid isn't the way, or animated cells isn't the way we do it anymore, but you know, we'll use the traditional phrasing for that.
Yeah. It was hard, but it was, I think it was easier relatively, because she's a really extroverted person, and she's really expressive, and we have a really close relationship. So she shares a lot of her, you know, not just this, but like everything, emotional, mental development, strength and weaknesses with each other. So it was a relatively easy communication. And this film was actually particularly inspired by my experiences in the hospital, taking care of her, and then also, you know, witnessing how other families are coping with this, and especially seeing all the other patients in the wards. And, you know, there are a lot of daughters there. A lot of the patients were middle-aged women like my mom, and, you know, they are extremely strong for their family. Like all the ones that are having a bit of like an emotional breakdown were the families, not the patients. And also it was really interesting and really touching to see there was this really strange like parallel parallel action there. The daughters were taking care of the mothers kind of the same ways that the mothers took care of them when they were young, and especially, you know, before after the surgery and all that. So that, you know, parallel action was such an left a really strong impression for me, and I was part of it too. And you know, it was just really highlighted how much of, you know, there's the mother-daughter relationship and the strength of all those patients, all those women, and especially when they're going through such a huge physical transformation, a change to their own self-perception and their own, you know, perceived beauty based on society standards, and how strong they got to be to go through all of that. So that's, yeah, that's what really made me want to make this film.
Well, you did a tremendous job. I love the animation style. It almost, this is the big spoiler I'm going to give, but they're going to see it in the trailer anyway. It looks as if it was drawn with crayon to give it like that innocent feel to it. And I'm guessing that's what you were going for, just to lighten the mood. But when you're going through it and it's the stroke of, whether it's the mouse or you're actually doing hand animation then translated to digital, how difficult is it for you not only reliving what went on for, I would estimate, a minimum of 6 months to 3 years, into condensing it into 5 minutes?
Oh, it was extremely difficult. Like that was the biggest challenge that I gave it to myself, is because like it's such a huge topic, a huge experience, and such a huge emotional roller coaster that I'm trying to condense into like a 5-minute film. And you know, there's so much parallel, so much life to be captured. And in the pre-production process, I did a lot of explorations with like other types of narrative strategies and other types of like visual styles, and I landed on this sort of like flow of thought and like a intercutting between dreamlike memories and reality, and just juxtaposing between, you know, these similar moments that are kind of like transcending through space and time. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, I landed on that because that sums up my personal experience, you know, especially at the hospital. Like there's so many moments that remind me of my childhood with my mom, and now it's just the roles are reversed. And that's something that I landed on and wanted to capture. And then, as you said, the visual style was intentionally trying to capture this childlike tone. And you know, crayons was also an element in the film too. And you know, I want to lighten the mood, and also I chose a rather simplified style because I want, you know, this is a really universal experience that I think a lot of people, a lot of families will relate to, and I wanted to have it as simplified as possible, so the social cultural context isn't specified as much, so it could be connected to all the audience in the world, hopefully.
No, it's gonna connect, and it's gonna hit. It hit me hard, so
Oh,
I know how powerful it is to put
thank
something
you.
out like that. You know, art sometimes is done for financial gain, sometimes it's done for expression. This was obviously a labor of love for you, especially recently graduating from NYU. So congratulations on that. You know,
Yay!
yeah, some little slouch school on the East Coast that nobody's ever heard of. You know, one of those places. Yeah. They're almost Ivy League, you know.
I mean,
They're like VI League, you know. They're 2 notches away from the 4. I'm totally teasing. NYU is a
oh my
phenomenal
god, that's
school.
really funny.
Yeah, they're gonna reject my doctoral thesis when I submit one day to go there for my PhD.
Oh.
Didn't you call us a VI instead of Ivy League? No. No. We're trying to lighten the tone because this is such a heavy topic.
Yeah.
You know, something also I noticed, as you mentioned, strength, and the characters themselves in the cartoon. People don't like to use the word cartoon anymore, but in the animated short,
Yeah.
you know, are still expressing strength, yet through femininity and through who they are. And I've noticed in Eastern cultures, let's say Greece East, if we go to ancient times with the Spartan women, even though they still train from a military standpoint still have their femininity. In East Asia still have their femininity. In the Middle East, you know, defending the villages in wartime, but still have their femininity. Why do you think in the West, either our women who are feminine are treated infantile or are forced to be overly masculine when our culture's heading easterly? God, I can't even, that's not even a word. Forget me. Yeah, I went to graduate school. Believe that. You know, are allowed to retain their femininity yet still be strong within their feminine aspect.
That's a really huge question, and I'm just gonna answer to the maximum of my knowledge and my experience. I think, yeah, that's also something that it was a cultural shock for me when I came to the U.S. to study, because I only came over for college, and before then it was all in Shanghai and Hong Kong and just in Asia overall, and just I've only been to like immersed in Western culture for like summer school length of time. And you know, especially coming over to study film and media and culture, like that was one of the cultural shocks, not just regarding masculinity or femininity, but also just overall a lot of the stereotypes or images are pushed to the maximum of their range. And you know, and I kind of noticed that, you know, Western culture or like American culture overall is very expressive, and very individualistic, and which is something really awesome to appreciate. And there's so much great art that came out of that. But I think it might also been a trait that kind of let a lot of the impressions to go to a very specific direction. And you know, with Asian culture, with Chinese culture, is a little bit more introverted or reserved. And there's a lot of historical comparison, a lot of thoughtfulness behind all the words and characters, you know, when it comes to literature, or a lot of philosophy and religion that goes behind imagery or visual expression. So there's just a lot more condensed information that need to be expressed and considered before trying to push an image out. So you know, that's my 2 cents on what I thought was like behind my cultural shock reaction. And it's, you know, that applies to a lot of other aspects too, especially when you're talking about like digital media nowadays and social media and like the pop culture and mainstream media overall. And yeah, it's still a huge sparks a lot of my curiosity, and I'm still trying to explore and trying to find a better answer.
Okay, so you've been here 3 years just to go to NYU, and your English is better than mine, and I was born here, so I should be embarrassed.
I've been in the U.S. for I mean, I just graduated, so I've been here for like 5 years, because I'm in grad school now, also in New York. I'm in Columbia studying educational game design. So yeah, I had some time to
oh, you're
practice.
at Columbia now. Oh, okay. So you went to the VI to the V. Now, eventually, for your doctorate, you're going to make it to the IV. You know, we're going up the Roman numeral scale. I get it.
Oh my god. Oh, that's really funny. Yeah. But yes, I'm at Columbia. I'm at the Teachers College. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about this program. It's been really awesome.
That's fantastic. I'm excited for you. And how is that going to blend into your animation style? You know, are you going to do more educational film? Are you going to do more, like, I don't know if you ever saw Persepolis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how that was also an autobiographical story in animation form that was originally a graphic novel. Do you want to turn this into a graphic novel? Like, how is this going to work for you in Beautiful?
So not particularly for this film, because this film, as you said, is a product of love, and it was also my thesis film for NYU. So it was great timing. I mean, and then it was just a great route of expression for me at the right time. And I also had all the time during the pandemic and during quarantine all to myself. So that film was all done, you know, individually, literally in my room in the same chair. And but for Columbia, I'm studying, you know, interactive art and digital, you know, game design. And a lot of educational theories as well. And one of the reasons that I chose this program and studying it under like an educational context is because my family has a history of, you know, being educators and being in the educational field. And especially my great grandfather, who studied abroad in the US in 1916. So, you know, he came over 100 years before I did. I came 2016. So he came over to study rural education, and he came back to China to contribute a huge ton, and he's known for that. And our whole family's been really proud of that, and we're really trying to catch up to his contribution. And, you know, one way that I thought of is, you know, because animation itself and film and mass media is such an important educational platform as well, especially animation, because it reaches so many children and next generation, and so on. And we really need like educated and responsible filmmakers behind those mediums to make sure, you know, the contents are responsible, socially responsible, and then also especially games. So yeah, and for me, I'm trying to explore actually like an interactive documentary, and just marrying those two mediums together and see what comes out of it. Because, you know, the more I study film, and I'm also working in the feature animated film industry in China right now, and, you know, just kind of seeing all of those mediums and seeing what people are looking into, and what the younger generation, what they like, and, you know, what's inspiring them. I feel like there's so many great awesome stories and educational stories and socially impactful stories that could be told in many other mediums other than, you know, the traditional film or documentary, or, you know, through PowerPoints or just lectures. There could be some more modern interactive ways of telling them. So yeah, that's something that I'm exploring. So hopefully, I'm planning on the next project would be an interactive animated documentary. So it's exciting
Well,
and
so you're
very
putting your
hard.
education to good use. That's the important thing.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
And now Beautiful is also in the, what is it? Real quick. The IndyShorts this month. So it's going to be in heartlandfilm.org/IndyShorts for people to check out. When your film comes about and it's a labor of love that's so expressive of yourself and your family, and you're putting your soul out there, not only just to express it, but it's going to come back with some sort of criticism as well. What does it mean to you to be recognized for this, whether it's in a film festival or just to be preserved, you know, say a cancer ward that they'll show that people will show children when it comes to dealing with, you know, personal ailments and sacrifice?
Mhm. Yeah, I think for this film, whatever sort of response that comes after, I would be extremely grateful for, because the whole reason that I made it and chose to tell the story is because I want more people to be connected to it. And one of the major reasons also because I couldn't find you know, a good visual representation or just storytelling of this entire um mental trip and journey, especially relating to this cancer specifically. And, you know, one of the reasons might be that it would be hard to show and display a lot of the physical transformation and the physical impact visually on, you know, live action or documentary. But animation is such a great medium of, you know, blending in some of fantasy elements and some of dreamlike elements and stylistic elements to express that. So that was one of the major reasons I wanted to do that, and to show people that, you know, this is something that's happening around you and people are impacted by it. So I would be really grateful, you know, to whatever degree, that if people feel that it represents part of their experiences as well, and, you know, if they feel emotionally connected to it, I would be really, really happy.
There is that emotional connection to it, because I even felt it. I don't know your mother, but I know what grief is. I know what loss is. I know what watching someone deteriorate in front of you is, almost to the point of looking like they're dissolving, not even deteriorating. Um,
Mhm.
when your mother first got the diagnosis, we know she had to be not physically strong, but emotionally stronger, or present strong. for the family, but you were a teenager at the time. So who was the Mulan that was going into it, and who are you coming out of it at this point? And was there any survivor's remorse, even though your mother's still alive with us? Like, is there any guilt of saying, mom survived this and it could always come back, but I'm still going to go study in the United States? Was like that push from her,
Oh my
or
God.
did that only come from you?
That actually didn't happen that long ago. That was artistic treatment for the film. It actually happened pretty recent and close to the pandemic. So the emotional turmoil that we had to experience was a lot. And having to go back for studying, and during a pandemic, and with all of the concerns and thoughts, and just all the like it was kind of like an emotional tornado that I had to deal with. And the film was one of the, like, especially the making of it and trying to find a way to tell the story was one of the ways to unpack that, because it happened so quickly. There was so much stuff happening, not just with your own family, all over the world, and you have to leave your home, go to a planet away, and then knowing that your family is going through this, and knowing that a lot of other families are going through this. It was a lot. And coming out of it, I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm still in the middle of it, right? But having experienced that is definitely a huge exercise for my emotional strength and my narrative strategies, and my storytelling techniques. But still, it was, I'm just really grateful that it's what it is now. And it made me definitely treasure more time with my family, 100% more, 10,000% more. And then, yeah, I'm really trying to figure out all the ways to be with them as long as possible.
And with Beautiful, was there a different cut, like a longer cut? Was it something that you were specifically shooting for the marker that you have? Like, because like with film, there's a longer cut, there's a shorter cut. Zack Snyder gave us Justice League, which is a 4-hour cut that I think really was his sticking it to Warner Brothers for saying, all right, I was going to make a 2.5-hour film, but because you didn't let me, here's everything that would have ended up on the cutting room floor. Like, how did the development and the storyboard go about in order to get us to where we are with Beautiful?
So with animation, it's like every frame counts. So basically the whole film was done in the animatic phase already, and the film is exactly as I planned it, like to every second, because that's just how you got to be with hand drawn, like 2D animation. And every frame is out of very deep consideration, because it's also labor, there's also a lot of physical hard work that goes behind it. So yeah, it's exactly as I planned it.
We don't want to give too much away. It's beautifully made. I mean, you planned it to a T. It came out absolutely gorgeous, and I'm thrilled with your level of detail. And sometimes the simplest form of art or design is usually the more complex to pull off. How long have you been an artist? Were you 5 years old and learning how to draw, or did this come later? At some point you said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. Like, what was the love for animation that came about with all of this, and especially in drawing itself?
Yeah, drawing, it was in kindergarten. But animation, it was curious for me that you didn't ask me about my name, because my name was actually not Mulan before I was 3. And when I was 3 years old, I was watching the Disney Mulan, like the animated one, and then like every day 10 times on the loop. And then it was like dubbed in Chinese. And then I just asked my mom, like, oh, why can't I be named Mulan? And then my parents just went to check the fortune telling books on names, because that's like, they're very serious about that. And it came out, oh, huge fortune. So they just went to change it, like both my English and Chinese name. So, my connection to animation started really early on, but I didn't know that I want to be an animator or a filmmaker when I was 3. But it was until I came to NYU Film, and then the first semester there was a requirement to pick either an animation course or a photography course, and picked animation because I like to draw. And that was the first time that I personally completed a colored animated short film, and that's when I was completely fascinated. I was like, oh, there's so many like fantasy related stories I want to tell, and animation is such a like an amazing medium that condenses and blends all of my interests, like drawing, illustration, film, cinematography, colors, and music, and everything. So that's when I was like, yeah, that's it. So yeah, so I guess it's since college first year.
Okay, fair enough. I wasn't going to ask about the name just because I figured that's what they named you. So I didn't realize that like you changed your name at 3 years old because of a Disney character.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah. Western influence at its finest, I see.
Exactly.
For people that are going to be paying attention to the film festival and checking out and seeing what's going on, and they're scrolling through because this is a digital one at this point, because the world hasn't fully opened up yet. When they just see the title Beautiful and then read a brief description of it, why do they either need to click the short block that it's in, or to click the movie specifically and go, this is the one I need to see?
Because it's a lot more than it's not about just about being beautiful or about femininity. It's about what goes behind it, and a lot of the pain and the negativity that might be contributing to that. And it takes a lot especially out of a woman, out of a woman who's under a physically transforming disease, to keep up her front of being beautiful, and also her own emotional strength of knowing that she's beautiful inside, and understanding that female beauty, not just the physical and also the emotional and mental beauty, it doesn't come from just your appearance, and there's so much more that goes behind it, so much strength and love, and familial love, and mother-daughter relationship. And yeah, it's just a lot more than being beautiful.
Thank you so much for your time today, Mulan Fu. I know it's really late over in Shanghai.
Oh, no worries.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, but no, it's a little after midnight. I know, yeah. And you're putting up with the interviews that you have to conduct for Beautiful. Where can we find you on social media if we want to connect with you? And let's remind everybody that to go to heartlandfilm.org/IndyShorts, where Beautiful will be streaming this month.
I'm on Instagram, and my personal website is also on there. It has my email, so feel free to reach out. I would also love to know any feedback or thoughts about my film, or overall about my work. That would be really awesome.
And it's under Mulan Fu, just MULANFU.
Yeah, it's Mulan.Fu. So.
Mulan.Fu. All right.
Yeah.
Mulan Fu, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Beautiful is a fantastic short animated
Thank
film.
You.
Make sure you have your tissues with you and a pint of ice cream, because you're just going to be crying into it. It was just that beautiful and well made, and I commend you on what you've done so far.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what you're going to pull off in the next 10 to 20 years.
Thank you so much.